Welcome back to the Stuck in My Thoughts podcast. We're here for episode 2. As always, I'm your host, Justin Stuckey. And to kick off season 2, I have the legendary Coach Leroy Burrell. Coach, run off a few stats. You are a former 12-time world record holder, Olympic gold medalist. When you were in the NCAA, you were a 9-time NCAA All-American, multiple NCAA records, long jump, 100, just light work. How do you feel about your accomplishments just overall in your career as an athlete?
Well, it's kind of funny because when you're in it, you're just doing what you do. But when you get a little older and a little separated from the time when you were active, you start to think, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's I have to separate my personal experiences as an athlete, from my experiences as a coach. Mm-hmm. Because my experience is, it's individual, and it oftentimes has very little to do with my work and the things I'm trying to do with the athletes that I coach. Mm-hmm. So, I can refer to it and try to build, maybe, help people try to relate to some of the things that you go through as an athlete, trying to reach that level. But really, a lot of my experiences that I utilize in the coaching side of me are the struggles to get there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of athletes look at those. Athletes look at those accolades, the things that you did, and mm-hmm. they see just the highlights, and that's just a small sample of what it takes to do it. That's the actual doing part.
Yes, sir.
Or the actualization part. But the doing is a lot of small, minute, difficult, challenging, frustrating days that you go through to get to that level.
That's what I was gonna go to. You've been at the highest of highs when it comes to track and field, but you mm-hmm. also talk about the lowest of lows. Sometimes in your career you had injuries, and mm-hmm. a lot of athletes experience that, and mm-hmm. they also experience the highs of it. Mm-hmm. How did you as an athlete kind of keep that motivation, that focus, to where even when I'm down, I'm still focused on the main thing. Even when I'm up, I'm still humble enough to keep it the main thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think rarely does one go through a career where they don't have some struggle. Mm-hmm. Be it injury, setback, difficult loss. It's all a part of it. And quite honestly, when you sign up for almost anything that's worthwhile, you're gonna have to go through some of that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of athletes struggle with that because they think that it's the fairy tale. Mm-hmm. They think people just blow up, but really, people, any successful person, they kind of spark a little bit, smolder, spark, smolder, mm-hmm. smolder. Little, flame pops up, then it dies. Yeah. The raindrop hits it. It's a lot of that, and to me, that's the thing a lot of people struggle with because they think it happens in that type of success happens instantaneously, but it really doesn't. And quite honestly, everybody wants that moment.
Yeah.
But really, it's a whole bunch of little moments. It's a whole lot of daily moments. Yeah. It's a whole hourly moments. It's just like dark late at night. Wake up in the middle of the night and realize, hey, I need to be a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I'm being honest with yourself too, because that's a big challenge.
The truth aspect of it, yeah.
Without a doubt.
A lot of people nowadays are kind of live in a fantasy world, kind of delusional world.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you talk about achieving those goals and things you set for yourself, but most people, like you said, most people don't go through a career without struggles. Most people don't go through it on, by themselves either.
Yeah.
And when you were at Houston and in your professional career, you and Carl Lewis were mm-hmm. kind of that duo together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Talk about on one side, it's a strong friendship, mm-hmm. a teammate, a brother. Mm-hmm. Then on the opposite side, it's a rivalry, it's a pet competition. Mm-hmm. How did you balance that? Nowadays, you got a lot of hate amongst peers and things like that. How did you guys balance that to where you were to continue to push each other, but not in a hating way at all?
Well, I think you got to start with a bunch of honesty, mm-hmm. first of all. And it's really honesty with yourself. I had to get to a point where I knew what my limitations were. Well, actually, I got to start before that. like I wanted to be in an environment where I felt like I could be challenged to a point where, I could, if I could get through that, I'd be among the best in the world. And there wasn't a better situation than that in Houston. So as an 18-year-old, I aspired to find the place where I could reach that goal. So I could have gone to a lot of other places. But I chose to go to Houston, and I wasn't afraid of that. And it never ceased to amaze me how many athletes who came through and visited Houston and recruiting, because the program was in a really good spot, and we were producing a lot of athletes who didn't feel like it was a place for them. For those very reasons, because they wanted to go to a place where they could shine, where they could be the spotlight. Yeah. I was like, if I could be the spotlight on the, highest stage with the best athletes, then I know I was going to be okay.
Yeah, you're going to shine.
Yeah, I was going to be all right. My freshman roommate was Joe Deloach, who ended up winning a gold medal, set an Olympic record in the 200 in Seoul, beat Carl in Seoul in the 200, and we came to Houston together. So those, and that was outside of Carl. And then I, joined the Santa Monica Track Club with, Carl Lewis, Johnny Gray, Mike Marsh, Steve Lewis. Those guys are all amazing guys, but we were all the same in that we felt like as a collective we can do greater things for the sport. And that wasn't us. I was 18, 19, 20 years old. Oddly enough, that was Carl.
Yeah.
Carl had the vision and had the mindset that, I can bring some people along with me and we could all do some great things. And Carl doesn't get very much credit for that. But he did mentor and support and compete against, at the same time, a lot of guys. Now, Carl's a competitor.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And Carl was comfortable enough in his skin to know that, hey, I could, keep my game at one level of practice or one season, because Carl had seasons where he really did kind of blew them off. He just kind of did his thing.
Yeah.
But then he had seasons where he was going to raise it to another level. And when you have athletes like that in your camp, it makes you feel and understand that if I can thrive and survive this, then I can go compete against anybody. And so that was comforting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You talk about, wanting to put yourself in that position to where you may not be in the best in the room. And I think nowadays a lot of athletes or just people in general kind of shy away from that competitiveness, kind of shy away from, they want to be the standout. They'd rather be a standout in a mediocre crowd than an average guy in the best crowd.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people need to kind of change the perspective, change the narrative. Like, you want to be the best, you got to be around the best.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays that may be a lost art. Why do you feel like that may be that?
I don't know. I think there are a lot of people who think it happens overnight, and then they can kind of create their own little fantasy.
Yeah.
I watched a video last night of some YouTube, TikTok person who was upset because she was trying to do this video where she walks out to get in her Uber and people kept walking into her shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
But that's the mindset a lot of people have, So she's like creating this aura that she's really important. Mm-hmm. I don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
And the only thing I know about this person is that she's a knucklehead who thinks that she has that by creating a shot creates a reality. Mm-hmm. Well, if you go about your life doing the things, especially in sport, doing the things that will help you get better, and you start to realize and actualize your talent, all the rest of that stuff, the stuff that people that like the fakers, to me, because that's what I call them, the fake people.
Yeah.
Dude, it starts to fall to the wayside.
Yeah.
And not only that, people who don't really have a good bones, good undergirth of what they believe in and what they do, they tend to fall apart when the pressure mounts.
Yeah.
So, so to answer your question, what do you? I mean, you got to. The formula really hasn't changed. The people who are the most real about what they do and why they do it are usually the ones, and they have the most talent, of course. They're usually the ones that are going to survive that onslaught of the other stuff. The ones who it's a little bit fake, it's not quite true, and they haven't really invested enough in themselves physically, emotionally, mentally, to survive those moments where you can really doubt yourself and beat yourself, they oftentimes fall.
Yeah. And one thing I admire about you and we're going on what, 8 months?
Yeah.
Being here 8 months since I've been under your leadership, you've always been honest with us. You've always been open with us. And you talk about the journey that each individual, each athlete, each person takes on this journey. And earlier you talked about, athletes and people in general may go through the struggles, may go through the journey of life. Mm-hmm. And you were open with us, sharing with us that back in 2021, you lost your son Cameron to suicide. And we were in a mental health meeting. Mm-hmm. How has your perspective on mental health changed since that time to now?
Well, I'll be honest. I don't think, like, we didn't label things the way they're labeled now. Like, some of the struggle that people have, and some of the things that the demons that you have to fight. Like, we didn't call that anxiety. We call that, hey man, you just kind of man up. You got to hang in there. It's going to be difficult. You're not going to win them all. Track is real cruel in that. You can go all year when it's all said and done. Even once you get to the highest levels, you go to Olympic year, you go through all said and done, and really, one person at event is the man or the woman, and everybody else is like, oh, whatever, they were there. So
yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's how it is, and so that's difficult, but that's what we sign up for. I think as far as the the struggle that that we go through, we start labeling things, and in the process of labeling things, then we start to identify, well, this is a problem, well, that's a problem. But a lot of those problems are just life in general. Life is a competition. You step into a classroom, that's a competition. We're competing for the A's, we're competing for the slots to go to the best school to get the A's.
Yeah.
And then when the people who get the A's are competing for the best jobs, the best internships, it's all a competition. And I think the sooner you realize that, the more you can kind of take some of that edge, I believe, that comes with the mental health aspect, because you got to call a struggle, a win, a win, a loss. But you also have to decide that and understand that those things are going to happen. And in the process of those things happening, you got to make decisions. Am I going to pick myself up? I'm going to let it bother me, or I'm going to go back to work, or I'm going to be honest with myself. Maybe I don't have it.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that you have to do. Now, I can't speak to the chemistry, the brain chemistry and all the things that come along with it, but I certainly feel that something's a little different than it used to be. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to bring up, well, in my day, but something's different now. I don't know what it is, but something certainly different. And maybe it's born from, the social environment we have in athletics and raising our kids. Because I grew up in the 70s. In the 70s, everybody was hungry. Yeah. So everybody was skinny and everybody was hungry. Well, now everybody's fat. I shouldn't say that. Everybody's a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so you have to be a little sensitive to things. But when you take the sensitivity of society and you put it in the raw atmosphere of sport, especially a sport like track and field, they're just not very compatible. And I think, that reality of, the gun goes off or the athlete's called up and they've got to do whatever it is in that moment. And it's either you did or you didn't. That's really hard to deal with, but I think we have to prepare athletes for that. And then we have to kind of help them kind of get through that when it works and when it doesn't. And in that whole process, we have to kind of give people a long view of things and really focus more on their journey, the journey of kind of becoming the person that you want to be athletically, and then becoming the person that you want to be as a result of being an athlete. Yeah. And I think that's the thing we got to get people to focus on. Not everybody's going to blow up. There are very few people going to be as successful as they think they are, as they think they can be. But those who aren't, you have to get them to realize that, you were a success in your own right. And what are you going to do with that success that you had in the athletic world in the rest of your life.
Yes, sir. And so, as a leader, you coached at Houston for numerous years. Now you're here at Auburn. As a leader, you don't get much time to yourself, let alone you don't get much time to prioritize yourself. How are you doing on that mental health side?
Well, I mean, I'd say there are times when it's a bit of a struggle. I have to check my wants and desires oftentimes at the door when I go in the room to try to go work the track room. But when I leave that room, I'm usually all about my R&R. Sometimes to a fault. I am. When I'm off, I'm off.
Yeah.
So I take the time. I rest a bit. My Sundays are usually all at the house with the family, and trying to get myself ready to come back out and and work with the group. I could probably do a better job of that, but all in all, when I'm off, I'm off. Trust me. If the phone is off, I ain't. I know I have to answer, but when I'm off, I'm off. Trust
Prioritizing
me.
yourself.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think especially with the way college athletics is, just in general, it's a lot of go.
Yeah.
And like you said, life's a competition. Everybody wants to be the best. And from the coach's standpoint, you hear about the coaches that are staying there, till 3 a.m. and things like that.
Yeah, but to me, that's really more of a myth. Like that's and I don't know where this notion came from. I got to work 24 hours a day. No, that's not healthy. God took a 7th day off. And He created the universe. So
that's the gym right there. Yeah.
So I mean, and so this notion that you can't stand down a little bit, I think is foolhardy.
Mm-hmm. I got you. So, talked about your time at Houston, great times. Now you transition to Auburn. You've been there 8 months. How's that transition been, and what does the vision for you do you have for this program and for the team?
Well, I think the transition's been smooth. I'm very fortunate in that I have an outstanding staff. I have staff that's very accomplished. A good mixture of of coaches who have been here, who understand what Auburn's inner workings, I should say. Excuse me. And a good mixture of staff that has worked the Southeastern Conference and have had success wherever they've been. So I think we've got a good balance. And I think we have a strong foundation with our director of ops, and Scott Duvall, who knows everything Auburn.
Scott's the GOAT, man. Shout out to Scott Duvall.
Man, he knows everything Auburn, and can kind of help us to navigate some of the things that a new staff would probably run afoul of.
Yeah.
So that's great. Just thinking, we've navigated a transition to a new administration here. And brought in several athletes who are contributing quite readily. We worked on trying to work on the culture here a bit. There were a great group of athletes, including yourself, who are either on the way here or who were here, and I think we've had to change the mindset a little bit of some of those athletes to focus on the team a bit. But we're still a work in progress. It took us a little while to learn the athletes, and we're still doing so. Like I need to know more about Justin Stuckey in competition.
Coming soon, don't you worry.
Coming soon. Okay. All right, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Yes, sir. Look at eye on it. But we're working. But it's still not quite the team that I feel I'd like to have. Mm-hmm. I like to have a few things in my back pocket, a little bit more depth. But we're working on it, and I'm excited about our future because I think we've covered a lot of ground in short order here.
Yeah, I'm excited about the vision and what we've got going on here. Mm-hmm. I think we, continue to press and then, continue to just trust in the process, like you said, and you come into somewhere new, there's a new chemistry, new culture. You just got to run with it and learn. Mm-hmm. And from you, do you feel like that was difficult to try to change that up?
That was a bit of a challenge. It's very easy to get in a comfort zone and stay in a comfort zone as an athlete. Where, especially if you enjoyed some level of success, but I'm trying to reach ultimate success collectively. So that's a different mindset than I think existed here, at least in the short term. There's always been some success here.
Yeah.
But I think things got a little bit, a little bit out of whack, and there were some challenges I think that kind of put the program in a difficult situation. Then people started kind of doing their own thing, and so trying to bring all of that back into under one tent, has been my mindset and my mission, and like I said, I think we're closer. Then we're certainly closer than where we started, but we're nowhere near where I want to be.
Yeah, we're going to come with it, though. Y'all watch out. We're going to come with it. Auburn U's on the way. Mm-hmm. All right, Coach. On my show, we got this thing called the Dropbox question. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You keep up with professional track like nobody's business. You out there. Say that. You focus on it, though. You be out there keeping up just in general. Name 3 athletes who stand out the most to you right now in track and field, male or female.
No, I actually don't keep up with the way you think I do. Let's see. It's kind of funny because I just think I look at it completely different. I'm not a big name guy. I'm usually a bit of that 400 hurdler from Norway is pretty good. That high jumper from Dubai, he's really good. No, I'm sorry, Cutter. He's really good. That's kind of how I look at it. But I'm not a fan. Okay, yeah. So I think to keep it on this side of the Atlantic, what Noah Lyles has done past couple of years is quite impressive. Sydney McLaughlin's extremely impressive.
Yeah, she's impressive.
And let's see, who else? Toby Omasan's had one of the most amazing years hurdling that I've seen in a long time.
Former guest on the show. Shout out Toby.
Mm-hmm. Yep, shout out to Toby and volunteer assistant coach.
Oh yeah.
So pat myself on the back. Good job there. But track and field's improved a lot. But I will say that I think a lot of the improvement that we're seeing is due to some of the technology that a lot of athletes have at their disposal now. Mm-hmm. So that's Fred Curley. What Fred has done has been nothing sort of amazing.
Yeah, Fred's nice
especially
too.
Coming from a guy who ran the 400 in college.
Yeah, I want to ask you this one. This is not even on the sheet, but you talked about the technology. Yeah. If you had the technology that we have today, what do you think?
I don't know, because I don't think about that, honestly, because, and I know it sounds facetious because I bought it up. Yeah. But like I posted something on Twitter, somebody's all upset about the mile. There are more guys who run faster in the mile over the past 5 years than in the past 50 years. Mm-hmm. Well, some of those guys are running on dirt and leather shoes. So, do you want to go back to that? No, nobody wants to see that. Mm-hmm. And it's like it happens in all other sports. That cars in auto racing, cars are better. So they move faster. In football, athletes are trained better, so it's a much faster game. You have video, you have film. And so things have changed. And in that realm, you have. In that arena, I should say, you have athletes who excelled with whatever technology was at their disposal or whatever equipment was at their disposal at the time. Well, if you're an athlete in 2023, you have a lot more at your disposal. So those who utilize it to the best and have to the best of their ability and have great ability, they're going to excel. But that's happening from top to bottom. The sport's just better now than it was.
Yeah. I got you. All right, Coach, last question, and this is just going to help the future of the show. Mm-hmm. Who should I bring on the show next?
Who should you bring on the show next?
Throw out some names, just who you think.
Well, you asked some open-ended question, man. billion people on this.
Who does Coach Burrell have connection to that he feels?
Oh,
would
yeah.
be a
So
good...
are you trying to say you want to talk to Carl?
Oh, we can have Carl Lewis on the show, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be
Yeah,
just
I
Carl
mean,
Lewis. It could be anybody.
Let's see. Who do I find interesting? I think that I think it'll be really interesting if you could get Max Siegel on the show. You know who Max Siegel is?
No, but who?
No, he's the CEO of USA Track and Field.
I should know that, but now I do.
Yeah, you do. Now you know.
Now you know. Now you know. Mr. Siegel, we're going to be contacting your people soon.
I think that would be interesting. Especially coming from a perspective of a developing athlete, who's trying to get to that level. To find out what's on the horizon for an athlete transitioning from college to the. See, I don't even call it professional.
See, I was going to ask you that one too. What do you define as a pro? Like,
well, I don't.
You don't.
Yeah, because to me,
is everybody post-collegiate?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why is there is no guarantee. The guarantee that you may receive is not necessarily based on your performance. It's really an endorsement. If you get a contract with a shoe company, it's not because you'll get it because of your performance, but you're not getting paid because you perform. Yeah. You're getting paid because they signed you.
That's true.
And if you don't perform anymore after that, maybe a year and a half, whatever, they'll take your money. But if you are, if you are with a league and there's some collective bargaining and everybody's going to make a certain amount of money, and a certain living for a certain period of time, and there's some guarantee involved, for play.
Yeah.
That's professional.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah. I like how you define that because there is a big, back and forth conversation of what it should be defined as a pro. But I like how you define there needs to be some type of league, some type of, contractual revenue across the board.
See, the sport when I was there, I think it was actually closer to professional because, when I was competing back in the 90s, there were a lot of appearance fees. Mm. You would be paid to appear, and you go do your thing, perform, whatever. And there might be some prize money as well. But now it's all pretty much prize money. And oddly enough, the prize money is about the same as it was 25, 30 years ago.
Somebody need to do some work, sound like to me. We got
a lot
of work.
A lot.
Yeah, that's some realization right there.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, I appreciate you being on the show. Thank you for, sharing your insight and your perspective on a lot of different topics. We appreciate you having you on. Right. And to all the people watching this, y'all make sure y'all go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll see y'all for episode 2 of season 2. We out.